Dzień dobry, ciao, ni hao. Good morning, good morning, good morning. As you can hear, there's a lot of mayhem in the office, lots of things going on. How are you today? Good morning to you. I hope you're well. This is Ken at 10. If you haven't been here before, well, thanks for joining us. We're on every day at 10 o'clock. We're James Alexander Estate Agents, and we're in Southwest London talking about all things property, life in general, and anything that comes into my head, really. I hope you're well today. So far today, looking rather grey and overcast. Summer's gone, hasn't it? Isn't it sad? Still, never mind. There we are. Children are back at school. It's all looking positive. The property market is going nuts, really busy. Just looking at some figures from Nationwide showing that house prices have hit an all-time high. The average home is now worth £224,123. They rose by an average of 2% just in August. Interesting. Everyone's saying the same thing, really. We all know the bounce back's there. It's still quite sensitive, though, and quite often. Good morning to the jungle. How you doing, guys? It's quite interesting, though, because everyone's got two questions on their mind, or everyone's really thinking it through in the industry is thinking about two things. Number one, the redundancies that will no doubt come at the end of the furlough scheme, how many there will be, the impact that will have. And personally, I think it will have an impact. It will certainly jar confidence. There's another issue as well with supply of mortgages. I just noticed one of the big companies has just withdrawn, HSBC has just withdrawn from 85% loan to value, and 90% is virtually non-existent now as well. So for first-time buyers, it's really hard to get onto the market. You know, there's a real stifling because there's so much demand at the low end. The pent-up demand is so great that a lot of the lenders are worried about the risk that might create, especially when we're in a busy market. They're worried about the bubble effect, and maybe come March, when we're at the very peak of that time, what impact that might have. So I'd be interested to see how that one plays out. But I hope that as confidence returns and prices rise, lenders will see sense and start to open up the market, especially at sort of 90% and 85%, where their risks in a rising market are mitigated by the rising market over time. If the market continues to rise at this rate, for instance, it's quite reasonable to expect a 5% rise within the next 3 months. And on that basis, that's the 15% if they were lending 10, isn't it? So I think lenders should be a little bit more chilled and a little bit more relaxed in their attitude towards first-time buyers, because there's no evidence that first-time buyers are a bad bet. It's just lenders being ultra cautious after the bank crisis back in 2008-9. Now, other things that are going on, internet and green spaces are being prioritized by buyers. In an Ipsos Mori poll, they're saying that 49% of respondents say that internet access has become more important than ever, together with green spaces. So two reasons, obviously due to COVID, really, but both really becoming more and more important. The internet was always going to become more important, wasn't it? And if you haven't got good internet, then these days, a lot of people just can't work, as simple as that, especially now when more people are working from home. So the contention ratio, i.e. the number of people trying to jump onto those connections, is greater. But yeah, back to the market. There are two questions I was mentioning earlier that are really on every person's mind right now in the property industry. One is how the furlough scheme impact will happen, what it will mean for the property market, how many people will still be in a position to buy, will it completely quell demand? My gut feeling is not. I think that there will be a greater divide. The haves and the have-nots will get even greater, which is sad, but a fact of this kind of market. And I suspect that the market will continue apace after that furlough scheme ends, even though we can expect mass redundancies, sadly. On from that, then the question is around the pandemic, and of course, the end of stamp duty holiday in March next year. My gut feeling is that by March next year, the market will be still crazy and everyone will be clambering just to make up, just to get in to try and save that extra 15K. And that's why the market's so busy right now, because actually it sounds like a long time away, doesn't it? But if you think we're in September now, really quite close to, you can write off at least 2 weeks for Christmas and the New Year, probably 4 in terms of solicitors, particularly in my experience, and then working to full efficiency. For that reason, you haven't got that long to hit that deadline. The average sale transaction, 8 to 12 weeks, 8 optimistically, 12 pessimistically, and often longer or shorter depending on the situation with the rest of the chain. So the big questions are, what will happen at the end of furlough? That'd be an interesting one to follow. My gut feeling is that the market will still hold out because natural greed has kicked in now and everybody wants a slice of the action. And then come March, when the deadline actually passes, I do expect there'll be a dip, but between now and then, I expect prices to rise significantly. So I expect it to be merely a correction in the market. And this is the problem with government intervention. It's good, and I think what he's done is great. But the difficulty with it is that when it ends, then it can distort the market, just as it is right now. And I think that we might see, as I've said many times, that deadline extended for that reason, because I think we're not going to be out of this by next March, are we, realistically? All we can do is focus on what we can affect locally, get on with what we can do to minimize the impact of the virus, and in the meantime get on with our lives. And that's what lots of people are doing, and it's lovely to see. You know, as I was saying yesterday, I think sometimes it's like, oh, is it a good time to move, is it bad? It's probably the best time to move for many years. So if you're thinking about moving, you want to chat about that, give us a call. Aside from that, letting's very busy still. I suspect that will become tougher when the redundancies hit. Particularly, lots of people will then perhaps not be looking to come in, and of course town will not be as popular as it was. So there may be not so many professional tenants particularly around, and landlords may have to adapt to that as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. So lots of interesting things going on in the marketplace. As far as the market generally locally is concerned, very, very busy across all ranges, right from 2-bedroom flats up to 5- and 6-bedroom houses now. The demand seems to be right across the range. But I'm also visiting a lot of people that are on the market at the moment, not getting action. And a lot of the time it's about the marketing. The marketing's not quite right. It's not the agent's done anything wrong particularly. They just haven't quite got the marketing right. And we've seen that recently with an instruction which was on with another agent, and was, you know, the photos were okay. It was generally okay, but the marketing wasn't tip top. And if the marketing's not tip top, it can make a massive difference. We took it on, we got the marketing right, we did the presentation video, immediately got a response, sold the property. And it's a little bit like turning the tap. There's absolutely nothing. Get the marketing right, bang, on goes the tap, out come buyers, and you can start to negotiate deals for people. And it really is a matter of getting that marketing bang on, because whatever people say to you about, oh, the market's so busy, anyone can sell houses, they always say that. Trust me on this. If you want the best price, you want the best agent. And that sometimes means you've got to pay a little bit more than the minimum if you want a proper service that's going to get you the best price. Because when you're paying the least in fees, it doesn't follow that you get the best in price. So hope you're having a good day today. We'll be back same time tomorrow for another Ken at 10. Until then, take care of yourselves.